This is Ed Kirchdorfer, Chief Operating Officer at Mayo Performing Arts Center. Welcome to the MPAC Zoomcast. Today, we are fortunate to have Mandy Gonzalez joining us today. Mandy and Javier Muñoz will be opening our season on September 29th with a performance called Hitting New Heights. Mandy possesses one of the most powerful and versatile voices of our time. She originated the role of Nina Rosario in the Tony Award-winning In the Heights. And she's also known for her acclaimed work in Wicked and as Angelica Schuyler in Hamilton and lots of other shows that we're going to talk about today. Mandy, welcome to the MPAC Zoomcast. Thanks for coming on and giving us a few minutes today.
Thank you, Ed. I'm delighted to be here and it's in my hometown, which is really great.
Now, you've been at the theater before. We were looking up before. You were we have two times that you were here before. One with a show called Broadway Showstoppers in 2014, and then another one called Bewitched Broadway in 2015. So it's been a while since you've been here. I remember I think it was the first time you were here, you came into our Starlight room where our donors congregate, and you came in and said, I think, I just moved to this town. We won't reveal the town, but I moved to this town, and I think someone who works here is my neighbor. So I don't know if you recall that conversation at all, but I know
Yes, absolutely. And she is. And we've been talking a lot about this show on September 29th. Every time I see her, and especially now that school has started, I see her a lot more, and we just kind of catch up and say hi and then go, oh, hey, I'm coming to your theater on September 29th. And yeah, it's wonderful to be in a community that's so close to New York, and where a community that houses lots of my friends that do incredible things. And yeah, it's nice to be able to drive to this gig instead of having to take the train. It's a nice change.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little about Hitting New Heights.
So Hitting New Heights is a show that I put together with my friend Javier Muñoz. Javier and I have shared the stage in a couple Broadway shows, In the Heights and Hamilton. He was my Hamilton to my Angelica Schuyler. But we have remained dear, dear friends. And this is a celebration. This night is a celebration of the work that we've done together, our friendship. And it's about community and bringing joy to the communities, bringing the music that we love to these communities, and hopefully bringing just a little bit of Broadway to the community as well.
How long have you two been touring with this show?
It's kind of crazy because we put the show together. I think our first gig was November of 2019. And then we had a lot that was booked for 2020. We were like, okay, now we did the show, we have it, we're going to go on the road and do all these things. And then the pandemic happened, and life took a pivot. And then when things started to open up again, we were just so excited to finally be able to come and do this show and to travel around and do what we wanted to do.
And what can COVID just, yeah. And do you remember anything
especially
before COVID?
For all theaters,
Here, like when we think back, like 2019, we have like no recall of anything that happened on our stage prior to COVID. It's crazy, but
oh, I know, it's so crazy. And but you know what it was like to come back. It's like that first night when I went back after the pandemic, and when they were letting people come back, and I got the call that Hamilton was going to come back. And I remember what it was like to be in a theater again with masks on, but also I had to remember what it was like to sing with somebody again, because everything that I had done that year and a half was by myself in front of a camera, and so all of a sudden, you're back in the theater, and there is nothing like live theater and live music and live performance. There's just nothing like it. So to be able to do it again and sing together, Javi and I did a couple shows online during the pandemic, and it's much better when we get to do it in person.
And people forget that you how did that experience, the not performing live for that time period and then suddenly being in front of an audience again? I mean, we had Audra McDonald in her first performance in front of a crowd back in 21, and this is Audra McDonald, and she was nervous about the event. She said, I might screw up tonight. I haven't done this in 2 years.
Exactly. It's like, do I know how to do this again? I don't know. And then you begin, and gosh, I just remember thinking, who's going to come to the theater when the show reopened on Broadway? Who's going to come? And then they had an announcement before Lin-Manuel Miranda came out and said, Broadway is back. And you could hear the entire audience. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, the theater's full. People were ready. Everybody had masks on, but people were ready, ready to have those experiences again. And so I love that Javi and I get to continue and continue to spread and do what we love.
Mm-hmm. So will he be doing songs and you be doing songs and you do duets together? Tell us a little about the.
Yes. So through our weaving of stories, we do a lot of songs separate and together. So we do songs that we did on Broadway, songs from Hamilton, songs from In the Heights. I do some songs from Wicked. We do another show of Lin-Manuel's, a song called from a show called Working. And it's a show that was written by Schwartz, but it's really a collaboration of a lot of different composers, and it's supposed to be like this kind of a living piece of theater because it constantly changes and they bring in new songs. And one of those new songs was written by our dear friend Lin-Manuel, and we sing that in the show as well. But we put together a lot of songs that we would just love to sing on Broadway. We haven't had the chance to. So it's a lot of just great music.
Mm-hmm. Now you've done shows, obviously, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Schwartz,
Mm-hmm.
John Tim Rice, Aida, Jim Steinman, Meatloaf's writer.
Yes.
First role on Broadway, I believe. With which I should know, but I didn't have it written down on my piece of paper. Was it Dance with the Vampire?
Yes, you're doing good with Michael Crawford. Yes.
Is there any composer whose work that you have not had a chance to do who you really, it'd be great if I could do a show with fill in the blanks music?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I do that in the show. I get to do a song that I absolutely love from Jason Robert Brown, who is a composer that I absolutely love. And for some reason, it just hasn't worked out where I've been able to do one of his shows. But in concert, I can sing some of his music. And I'm so delighted to do that, as well as Stephen Sondheim, which is another composer that I absolutely love. And for some reason, those shows just haven't met my way. But in concert, I get to do those things.
We're talking with Mandy Gonzalez, who will be here at MPAC on Friday, September 29th. With Javier Muñoz. It's our opening night, our 29th opening night on September 29th. So if you're into numerology, maybe put a couple bucks down on those two numbers.
And what happens on opening night? Like, what is an opening night at MPAC?
It is our chance to, we operate year round. So and we used to have a season that would be fall to summer because we didn't have air conditioning, and when we did renovations with air conditioning. So we're, it's not like shows end in June and then we're off for 2 months. Would be great, but we're not.
Right.
But it's really our chance to really focus in on the season, celebrate the upcoming new season with our donors, with our sponsors, with our public, and really kind of welcome everybody back to the theater for an exciting new year of shows. So there's a little bit of hoopla beforehand, and we have a great concert with y'all. And I think in this show too, we have you performing with our performing arts company, which is kids. They're incredibly talented. You'll be amazed at their ability. They just reformed in September, and it's 24 kids ages 13 through 18. What will you be doing with them?
You know what? We will be doing our closing songs with the choir. And it's so important for Javi and I wherever we do a show, to make the community a part of it. And when I reached out to, I think I reached out to you, Ed, and I said, oh, I'd love to have a choir, and do you know of an arts director that could help me facilitate that? You said, actually, we have one. And it's been so wonderful. And I said, I know it's early in the season, I know that everybody's just getting back to school and getting back together, but immediately the arts director said, yeah, absolutely, we'll be there. And but it's very important for us to get back into the community and to talk to young people, to let them know that a life in the arts is possible. And this is also what it looks like, and to bring them into our world, which is so important, because we know how important that was for us as young people that give back a little bit and left a lasting impression on us.
Yeah, they have performed with Kristen Chenoweth, with Sutton Foster, last year with Renee Lees Goldsberry. They're just a
Wow.
you'll have so much fun with them, and they're a good group. I mean, they're just really good kids too, and super talented. You'll be like, oh my God, they're coming after me. So.
Woo! I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I love it.
Now, when you can you talk a little about the difference between originating a role on Broadway versus stepping in and taking over a role? Like, how do you approach one versus the other, and what's more difficult, creating the role yourself, or knowing that somebody has already done something and there's an expectation based on what that person does, and now you need to put your own little spin on it?
That's a great question. I think there's so many ways to answer this, but I'll say that the thing that remains the same about originating a role or replacing in a role is the work is the same. You try to look for the truth. You try to, for me, figure out, okay, what am I doing? What's in my way? All of these things that I learned, I apply those to whatever character I'm working on. And then you get 4 weeks. You get 4 weeks, whether it's a new Broadway show or a show that's been around for a long time. And the difference is, during those 4 weeks, when you're in an original show, you get to rehearse with the rest of the cast. So you're creating these scenes, you're doing all these things together for the first time. And there's just something so exciting and thrilling about that, because you're finding it together. When you are replacing in a role, a lot of times it's just you in a room with the stage manager and the dance captain, and they are doing all the scenes with you and working all the scenes and songs, so that where you're supposed to go, what number you're supposed to be on. But it's really, when you replace in a role, it's not until the day before you start, where you do a put-in rehearsal, and that's when you are in all of your costumes, all of your makeup. Like, say something like Wicked, where I did Elphaba. It was the first time I was green, and nobody else in the company is in their outfits or anything like that. They're all in street clothes, but they're there for your rehearsal, and it's called a put-in. And that's the first time you're actually doing scenes with other people, which can be extremely terrifying, but also thrilling at the same time, because you want to make sure that whatever they're used to, you make sure you hit those numbers, but you also bring yourself to that. And I think then you have opening night, and that's the first night where you get to be with everybody in costume, and you get to really figure out what that is. I think, gosh, I've loved doing both. I love originating roles. I think that that's just so much fun. I think I've been very fortunate with replacing, because I've been able to work with the directors personally. So I've been able to talk about characterization and their feelings on building a show. For Hamilton, I was actually, at the same time I was getting ready for Broadway, they were putting up the Chicago company, and I was able to rehearse with the entire company. So that was really wonderful, so that I could see how everything works. And especially with Hamilton, with the turntable and all these things, all these different pieces that you have to put together, it was so helpful. But there's nothing like it. There's nothing like performing live on stage. There's nothing like being in a Broadway show. And when you're in a show that has already been around, and you never have to worry that people aren't going to like it. That's something that I do not mind. It's really wonderful when you love something so much, because even if, you're in a show and it doesn't do well, you still love it. And then when it doesn't do well, you're kind of like, oh, now I only have 3 months, or I have 3 weeks, and then it's over. But when you're in a show like Hamilton or Wicked, and people are already applauding before you even come on the stage, it's awesome. It's just great.
Conversely, so when you originate a role and then you leave the cast, do you talk to your replacement? Do you just let her do her thing? And do you eventually like go back and watch your replacement in the show and go, that's an interesting choice. I didn't think about that, or I wish I did that, or
I think sometimes when I leave a show, I feel like I always leave, and it's because of people that have come before me and kind of taught me what to do, when in those kind of situations, how to be gracious. And for me, I always leave a note. I always leave a gift of some sort, and then it's theirs. It's theirs to be with the creative team and to put together the performance that they want to create. And I hope that what I created will always be there. And I think that's what happens when you originate something and you're on a cast album. Your imprint is you've always been imprinted in that show. And that's a beautiful thing. And so I think for me, when I have replaced, I do feel like Renee Elise Goldsberry, for Wicked, it was Idina Menzel. And I do feel those women all over those roles. So I think that it's just there.
Mhm. Do you have a favorite out of all of them?
Yeah, I think, always the favorite is whatever I'm in,
Mm.
because it's great to be working. I just did a play out of town. I went to the Old Globe and I did a play that was written by Karen Zacharias, and it was directed by Ruben Santiago Hudson, and it's a new play. It's an homage to the telenovela, and it was fabulous. I played this incredible character, and at that time it was like, oh, whatever you're in, like that's the place that I want to be in. It's called Destiny of Desire, and I absolutely loved it. And word is that we're going to come in one of these days. But if it was just that time in San Diego, it was just incredible. So I really put myself into whatever I'm doing. And when I look back at my career, I have so many highlights. But the one that really sticks with me is Nina Rosario in The Heights. And I think that the young people that come and see me, or all ages at this point, come and see me in concert, it really means so much to me, when they tell me how much that role meant to them and how much they identified with that role and those songs. And so I feel very proud. I feel very proud of that, and to represent that for other people.
Mhm. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of discussion about more opportunities for Hispanic, Latin, people of color on Broadway and whatnot. Are you seeing those opportunities overall in the industry? Are they bubbling up? Have we progressed to a point where we feel it's getting there, it's on its way, or is there still a long road ahead for that?
I think we're at the beginning. I think the conversations are very important. I think we have a long way to go. I think that's why it's so important, wherever I go, wherever Javi and I go, to go into those communities, to go into those schools, to let kids know that a life in the arts is possible. Because you may start on your path, you may think, oh, I want to be in the spotlight, and this is, I want to perform and I want to do this. But then as you go on your journey, you may realize, oh, I really like stage management, or I like lighting design, or I like sound design, and I like producing, I like PR, I like to teach, I like all of these things. And I think that's why it's important for people, from our community, to go in to show kids that it is possible.
Mhm.
And so I think as an artist, that means so much to me, because that's how I think change happens.
Mhm.
When you see it, that's how you can see, oh, this is where I'm going to go.
Mhm. What's next for you? What's coming up down the line for you? Anything?
Well, right now I am doing a lot of concerts, so it's a lot of traveling, working with symphonies, and then on the way, it's, working on new material, working on new plays that hopefully will come in, readings, workshops in New York, and but there is a lot happening. There's a lot of new works being done, and it's a very exciting time. Like you, it's like the opening
Mhm.
of the season for
And you were
Broadway.
recently, and someone told me you recently, I haven't seen it because I don't have Hulu, but you were in an episode of the Only Murders in the Building.
Yes.
Did you get to work
Which
with
I play Selena Gomez's mom,
Oh, okay.
which is so exciting. I'm in the first season, and when I auditioned for that role, they said, oh, well, it's with Steve Martin and Martin Short. And I didn't know what the show was, and it was very secretive, and all of those things. And then I get to set, and I'm actually doing scenes with Martin Short and Steve Martin. And can I tell you, it was such a thrill. I get to yell at them and laugh with them, but they are just, masters of their craft. And it was just awesome. And then to be with Selena, it was really wonderful. She's such a wonderful actress and person, just so giving. And it really, I think, also gave me points with my daughter and her friends,
For Martin
who
Short.
say,
So
yeah, who say like, oh my gosh, like, Selena, do you use her makeup and all these things? And it's, yes, I do, because she gave it to us. But no, it was such a thrill. And I love working in film and television, and I can't wait till we can come. Oh, sorry, my thing. So that I don't have to do this by myself, but till we can come back and start that again.
great. What do you hope that someone who comes to your show on the 29th here walks away with at the end?
Oh goodness, I just hope that they walk away filled with love and laughter and the joy of music and friendship,
Great.
and to feel a little less alone.
And if somebody wants to find out more information about you, do you have your website, Facebook?
Oh yeah, I've got it all.
It all here.
Instagram. Yeah, Mandy.Gonzalez. I'm on Instagram. You can check out my website at mandygonzalez.com. And yeah, you can always DM me. My DMs are always open, and see what's going on.
Great, thank you. The show is Hitting New Heights. It's here at Mayo Performing Arts Center on Friday, September 29th, which is very close. And
right now, it's almost here.
Mandy and Javier Muñoz. So we hope that you can make it out. It'll be a great evening to celebrate the theater and to hear a wonderful performance and to see our kids in action here, and just a great night out in Morristown. So Mandy, thank you so much for joining us for a few moments today. We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you shortly here.
And I'll see you soon in Jersey, baby.
All right. Thank you. For more information about MPAC events, please go to our website, mayoarts.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and this is Ed Kirchdorfer for the MPAC Zoomcast. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you at the theater soon.
I'm there, I'm home.